Hi guys, welcome to a brand new Sinnis Rider Stories. Today I've got two kind of ordinary people doing extraordinary things with me today. I have Holly and Paul from Riding from Reality.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey guys. How you been then?
Not too bad. Been trying to keep busy. Got a new garage, so that's our next project. But that's about it really, because, plagues and such like.
So where are you guys currently in the country? Where are you calling home at the moment?
Well, we are in London, so we've had to gate crash my sister's just during this time because anyone who's seen us knows that we actually normally live in a van. So, but as everything's locked down, we can't really go anywhere. We've sort of just jumped on the bandwagon there and just holed up here for a bit.
So you mentioned that you're currently on a little garage project. I've seen some stuff on Instagram and it looks like it's coming along. What's the process with that then at the moment?
So we're trying to make ourselves like a little workshop with the bikes, which would be nice, but we want to do it properly. At the same time, we're all a bit broke, so the goal is to do it up as nice as possible. We've already got tools and everything, but using upcycled materials, so pretty much everything will be either free or reduced cost, second-hand. There's a bunch of whole websites like on Gumtree, FreeCycle, where people are just giving various things away. Like this morning, we went and picked up about, 10 pallets?
Yeah, very easy.
Oh, wow. Strip down, sand, and then convert that into like a nicely cladded roof. Ceiling for the garage as well.
It's also always the side of the road. Yeah. You get many beautiful things.
Yeah, that's true. Just go to any side of the road or back of a shop, you'll always find some. So.
Yeah, we got some laminate flooring from the side of the road the other day, which is went down.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Oh, sweet. So how many bikes have you currently got with you, and are you going to fit them all in the garage or?
No, we're sharing it with our friend Tomash, who lives just around the corner as well. He's been coming out a lot with us off-roading, testing out the 380 with us as well, which has been good. But currently, you have in theory, two bikes.
Yeah, but because of lockdown, I've not been able to take my Mod 2 yet, so I can't ride the 380.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard that you passed your Mod 1, and what did you say? Was it December time you can do Mod 2, or is that changed?
This is the third time I've rearranged my Mod 2.
Oh, man.
So yeah, I've kind of got two currently.
Yeah,
you have
4, if I include the production, which I need to give back to you guys as well. Yeah. Which I will do, yeah.
And then Tomash and Sandra have one each.
Yeah, so that's a lot. 8 bikes.
How many can you fit in the garage then? How many are you going to have?
6.
Oh, you can fit 6, okay. That's pretty good. Well, how long do you think it's going to take for the garage to be finished?
All depends on how long it takes to get the materials. We're doing quite well, and lockdown's clearly going to go on for at least another 6 weeks, so it's a great way to spend the time.
Yeah, so I guess we met back at Overland last year. That was my first sort of adventure bike event that I'd been to. I'd had the terrain for a while, so I'd been riding it around. I hadn't done any green laning or off-roading on it. I'd just been going to work and stuff on it. And then went to Overland, did a little bit of off-roading there. And then I met you guys and you gave your talk at the event, which was great. And that leads me on to my first point, which is the Mongol Rally, really. So you've done a piece for us in a blog style that's currently on the website. You should check out the blog. It's a great read. There's loads of good photos in there as well. I guess let's start from the beginning. When did you all start riding?
About 2 years ago, I think. Maybe slightly longer.
2018 for you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
April, May 2018.
So not very long, but I've always wanted to. It's just my dad always said it'd break my arms if I got a bike, so that I couldn't ride the bike and wouldn't kill myself.
Yeah. How about you, Paul?
A bit longer than that. I first started riding in 2004, 2005, something like that. It's been so long I can't remember now.
Yeah.
So a lot longer.
So why did you start riding? What was the enthusiasm behind it, really?
For me, like I said, I've always wanted to. And then I came to London because I wasn't here before. And I needed a way to get around cheaply because I have to travel between a lot of different climbing walls. So I can't just commute in, to one place all the time. And a motorbike seemed like the way to go, especially because he could teach me.
Yeah, I guess most people do it for that reason, because it can be so cheap. If you get the right bike starting off after your CBT, it's like the perfect perfect means of travel, really. So yeah.
So cheap.
Especially in the city as well.
How about you, Paul? Why did you start riding?
Again, it was a cost, really. I was a student back then, so all of my friends were like getting cars and all the rest of it, and I was like, I can't afford that. Bike seems more cost effective, and also I like to sort of push against the grain a little bit as well. So if everyone's doing one thing, I'm like, I'm not going to do that and be a sheep. I'll go and do this instead. And so did my CBT, which took 2 attempts, so that was fun. Got my first bike, and it was downhill from there, really.
Oh, okay. Was there anyone that inspired you to start riding?
Not for me. Maybe for him.
Yeah, no, not for me either. Again, it was more of a practical purpose at the time.
Okay.
And as I've been riding for years, there have been people along the lines that have inspired me to change what I've been doing.
Yeah.
When I first started, it was all about sports bikes, as you do. And then classically, I was introduced to the long way round. And as soon as I watched that, it was like game over.
I guess it's like it for a lot of people. That was like the catalyst that starts the off-roading and green laning stuff. I watched it when it first. I can't remember was it 2004? It came out.
2004, yeah.
Yeah, I rewatched it recently because of the long way up. I wanted to watch all the first 2 and then watch the new one.
Yeah.
And it kind of, ever since I watched that back in 2004, I always wanted to do something like that, but I never got around to doing it, and I still haven't done it. So yeah, it does start that kind of adventure in most people, because it looks amazing. Whose idea was it to do the Mongol Rally then?
Technically, I was aware of the Mongol Rally
did
many
nothing
years
about
ago.
it.
Yeah, I was working in a different job that I was now. I was working more in the finance sector, and getting more than like 3 weeks off work is it's not going to happen. So I never signed up for the Mongol Rally, and I discovered it 5 or 6 years ago, maybe more.
Right.
Fast forward to when I met Holly in 2018. We got together. I was in a different job. There was a lot more flexibility, and introduced Holly to it, and then she basically signed us up without saying anything.
Well, fair enough. Yeah.
You never get around to doing things. You're like, oh, I could do that, but you just don't.
Yeah, I guess just a little backstory to the Mongol Rally, if no one knows, is it 10,000 miles across? Is it from London to Mongolia? Is that how they judge it?
The year we did it, it started in the Czech Republic, but obviously we live in London, so we went from London.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do try to change the start every year. I think the next one's back in the UK to start again.
No idea.
So it finishes in Ulan-Ude in Russia, but they kind of tell you go through Mongolia, because that was the original finishing place in Ulaanbaatar, but they had to change it due to car import reasons and whatnot.
Okay.
So it can be as long or as short as you make the route. You get to choose it. That's the great thing about it.
Yeah, and I guess that's where the relationship with Sinnis started.
Yeah.
Was with the Terrain 125, really.
Yeah.
And that got you across Mongolia, and you managed to finish it. What was it like on the 125s then?
Oh, it's wonderful. They're brilliant off-road, absolutely brilliant. I'd done 1 day off-road before I did the Mongol Rally.
Yeah.
And I got my A1 license, was it 3 weeks before we set off?
Yeah.
So I wasn't exactly experienced, but the bike can do everything I wanted it to. Like rivers, dry riverbeds, sand, everything. The only slight downside to the fact that it looks like a lovely big bike is when you're on the Autobahn, all the truckers think you're going really slowly just to annoy them, and they get very angry at you.
Right. But I guess you weren't really on roads that often?
No, it was only getting across Europe, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then you just try and make as many miles across Europe so you can spend more time in the interesting countries later on. So once you're off the highway, you don't need to be doing those fast speeds. In fact, you don't want to be halfway up the side of a mountain with a switchback and sheer drops.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was the best parts of the trip for you then, doing the Mongol Rally?
I think for me, it was probably, Turkey was wonderful, actually. Turkey was a massive surprise. I was not expecting to like it. Turkey and the Pamir Highway.
Yeah, for me it was the Pamir Highway. It was something we'd never really heard of until we was actually signed up and then researching what route we did. Just saw one photo of it and went, we need to go there. And it met all of our expectations and more. There are tracks, it's not a road. It gets really interesting. There are some wonderful people in the middle of nowhere, mountains, gravel, river crossings, and if you want to feel like you're doing an adventure, that's the place to do it in.
Yeah. With the Mongol Rally, from what I've seen, are you supposed to do it in kind of a extreme, stupid, silly vehicle? Is that the premise?
Yeah, kind of. So if you've got a car, it has to be less than 1.2 litres.
Okay.
Preferably, old and falling apart or whatever.
Yeah.
And if you've got a bike, it has to be 125cc or less.
Okay. Do you know how many people have done the Mongol Rally on 125s?
Not that many.
Not many.
Overall, I don't know, but the year we did it, there was about 800 people altogether, and all bikes.
Yeah, it's a lot tougher on a bike because you have to do every single mile. Whereas if you're in a car, you just switch.
Yeah, you're so open to the elements of everything, aren't you? Whereas you can, if you're sitting in a car and just put the windows up, if it's raining, it's not an issue. But if you're on a bike, did you have any sort of scary moments?
Oh, many.
Maybe the flash flood in Mongolia might have been one of them. It was like hailstones that was so big it hurt through your biking gear, which is just mental. And there was floods maybe half a foot deep going sideways across the roads, but you couldn't see through them because they were so muddy. So you had no idea what you were driving into. And it was lightning everywhere. And it's Mongolia. You couldn't stop. Like, you couldn't even choose to put up your tent because literally everywhere was half a foot of water. You just had to keep going.
That's so crazy.
Really didn't want to stop because you're the only metal thing around, so lightning.
I guess there's the sort of isolation with riding in Mongolia by it was just you two. I know you did you see other people along the way at all, or were you just by yourselves?
Occasionally, like throughout Europe we saw them a lot because you all start at the same time and it takes a while for people to spread out. But apart from that, I think we only saw one team in Mongolia, didn't we?
That was right at the start.
Team Navigator, I think they were called. We camped with them for a night. They rode our bikes. I drove their car. The usual.
Nice. And then, that was it in Mongolia.
Yeah, but the rest of the time, it's literally you and a wilderness and the occasional local telling you to go around the next mountain to get to wherever you're needing to go.
How did you feel being, I guess, so alone in a foreign country?
Very happy.
It was nice.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I'm not exactly a people person. I need my own space. Yeah. So that was awesome.
My next question is, where's the furthest place you've travelled on your terrain? And you kind of answered that already. Yeah. Is that the longest trip you've done so far then?
In terms of on a bike consistently, yeah. Yeah. But, it doesn't matter where you ride, really. You do it for the enjoyment. If you enjoy just going down the road, you enjoy going down the road. I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of some really great places to ride is around the Kent and Surrey area, not too far from you guys as well. And there's beautiful roads there. You just have to know where they are and find them.
Yeah. Well, I've been looking at the map you sent me with all the green lanes recently. Yeah. What was that called again, sorry?
Bywaysmaps.com.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Because I mentioned to you guys that I struggled to find green lanes near me, and I found that just general web searching didn't really bring up much results. But I'd highly recommend anyone to kind of go and look at that website and find your nearest green lane. And if you've got that, if you have a terrain, it's absolutely perfect. But it's surprising how close some of the green lanes are to people, and they don't even know it. And that kind of leads on to my next question with you guys, because you were working on another project a while back, sort of organising, I guess, people to do off-roading courses.
Oh, in Wales, yeah.
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
Still on the cards, just,
Yeah, delayed.
Yeah, so what was the plan with that then?
So it was an idea that we actually formed whilst on the Mongol Rally, and this is how much we ended up liking the terrain and that, is we've been in London for a long time, me more than Holly, and It is where it is true. You get to a certain age and it feels like it's a bit too noisy now. And we want to sort of move out into the country. And we decided on Wales because it's a place that we both love. It's nice, peaceful, mountains, green lanes. It's kind of got everything you need without it being a million miles away. So the idea was to do a tour company within Wales for people on the Terrain 125. Not necessarily those people who have been riding for years, but those who are new to it. Because if you look for tours, it doesn't matter where it is, motorbike tours, it's always on the larger bikes. Your big GSs, your Africa Twins, doesn't matter what it is. And there's not really anything for newer people who want to try it. And those are the people that actually need more encouragement and hand-holding.
Yeah, I guess you can only really experience that if you go to like the events like Overland, where they have a group of people go out onto an off-road track. So that sounds great. I think that's a perfect opportunity for anyone to get started, and there's not much of that around, so it'll be great to see how you're doing with that further down the line when everything's back to normal and you guys can get out and do that. Because Wales, I've only been to Wales once, and it was to go and film the promo for the T380, and I could not believe just Wales in general. It was utterly beautiful. I didn't know it's something so close to us, because I live down on the south coast near Brighton, and it's a couple of hours away, and it's just like another world. It's crazy, and the off-road tracks there, and they're just outstanding. So I can see why you want to do it in Wales. It's crazy good.
It is. And I think eventually with our business, I think one of the things that I'm particularly very, very excited about is we'd like to be able to do CBTs for people eventually, long-term plan.
Yeah.
So if you could take someone who was, I don't know, middle-aged, wanted to try something new, and you get them from not being able to ride a bike at all to getting their CBT and then going on a mini tour of Wales, how cool would that be?
That's
what
amazing.
To start biking.
That
was accessible to me. That would be amazing. Yeah, that sounds great. So what caught your eye about the Sinnis Terrain 125?
Doesn't look like a 125.
It's exactly what most people say. That's the starting one. It's the size and the luggage, I guess, that gets most people. Yeah.
It's like a one-stop shop. You don't have to get it and then start adding bits to it, which is really, really handy. It's like you can literally buy it and go that same day. It's like, bish, bash, bosh, here's my money, and I'm away. Pack up my panniers, put my tent on the back, and we're gone.
Did you come up against any issues with the terrain on the Mongol Rally?
Not huge ones. My engine was leaking a little bit of oil, and we couldn't figure out why. Took it to a shop, took the top of the engine off, and they just tightened some bolts, and then it was fine. They also told us that it would never make it to Mongolia. What are we doing riding a Chinese bike? We're stupid. Do we understand what we're doing? And if they're watching this, haha, we made it.
How about you, Paul? I heard that you had a bit of an unfortunate accident.
Yeah, but that wasn't the bike, that was the rider. So yeah, this was in Turkmenistan, so I'll do a little bit of context. It took us 12 hours to get through the border of Turkmenistan because it's just impossible being passed from person to person. No one knows what's going on. Anyone who does know what's going on is just trying to get more money out of you. And the only reason they really actually let us through the country was because the president was visiting the port and they wanted everyone out. So that was a great fun of bureaucracy there. So we basically didn't sleep for like 24 hours.
It's longer than that, to be honest.
Yeah, it was crazy up until that point. Headed off, and I think it wasn't the next day, but the day after, we was heading towards the Gates of Hell.
Right.
For people who don't know what the Gates of Hell are, many moons ago, I think it's about 40, 50 years ago, a gas crater appeared in the middle of Turkmenistan. They were going to go and drill it out for natural gas. To do that, they had to burn off the residual gas first, so they light it on fire. It burns off within a couple of days, and then they start drilling. They lit it on fire, and it hasn't stopped burning since. There's a giant sinkhole, which is about 50 meters wide, I'm not sure, and big, and goes down by about 30 meters, and it's just on fire, lots of little fires constantly burning in the middle of this desert.
Doesn't look real. Really.
Do you just ride? Is it one place that you can just ride past, and there's just this huge crater?
You can't ride past it. You literally have to ride to it.
Right.
So the road is a bit further off from that. It's a couple of miles off, but at night time you could see the light emitting from the road.
Yeah.
So we was heading there. Just the road was fine. It was. I was just checking on the sat nav to see when our next petrol station was coming up, because there are very few petrol stations in Turkmenistan, and you're not allowed to fill jerry cans or anything and carry them with you.
Okay. Is there any reason for that?
No, Turkmenistan has many laws and many rules that have absolutely no rhyme or reason to it, other than they're a bit weird. So yeah, I just sort of lost concentration, looked down, it was in the evening, checked the thing, looked up, and I'd veered off the side of the road.
Right.
The side of the road there is sand and rocks. So immediately I'm like, okay, need to slow down. Backed off the power, didn't touch the brakes, and my front end must have hit a rock or something, we still don't know, and it washed out. And this was at about 50 miles an hour.
Oh, man.
So me and the bike go down, bike flips over and lands directly on my head. So I'm spread eagle, and like the terrain is literally on my head like that. Holly stops and has to literally like bench and flip the bike off my head.
Oh, man.
And,
How did Holly? Did you see it happen then?
Yeah. I honestly thought he was messing about.
Oh, really?
I thought he was just being stupid and decided to ride on the side of the road for a while because he got bored.
Man.
But then he started falling over. I was like, oh, great. Should probably do something. So I slowed down.
This is serious.
And then there was a bike on his head. I was like, But yeah, just wander over, flick the kill switch, throw the bike off someone casually.
Yeah.
Would have been much harder with one of those big GSs.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
at least my head would have been squished if it was a big GS.
Yeah. So you got injured, didn't you? Quite badly.
With the bike landing on my head / helmet, what it had done is pulled the helmet up, and it had torn my ear all the way up across there. It was hanging on by about 2 millimeters of skin, I think it was. I don't know, I didn't really see it. Ollie got to see it in full in all its glory.
Very pretty.
Oh, man.
Thankfully, another Mongol Rally team, ironically, because we'd all been bunched up at the border, was going past. They saw what happened, turned around, and they'd been sponsored by a pharmaceutical company. So they had everything stayed. They helped clean me up and tape me up and bandage me up. And then we carried on, basically, for like another 4 or 5 hours. I think it was. I can't remember what the times were. The only thing that happened to the bike was the dash had popped out and disconnected, so it just broken the screw lugs there, and that was it. But literally it. Oh, and it bent the crash bars, but they'd already been bent several hundred times by then. You literally just hold the handlebars and just bend them back into place, but that's what they're there for.
Let's talk a little bit more about the bike, the terrains in general. Have you made any upgrades to your terrains?
Got heated grips.
Oh, okay.
Well, you have heated grips.
Yeah, I have heated grips. It's wonderful. Best invention in the world ever. But I think that's about it.
Oh no, we created some bash plates.
Oh yeah,
and
bash plates.
So before we went on the rally, we was like, it's going to take a batter in. So I had an old aluminum pannier lid, which I managed to fashion into 2 bash plates.
Oh, nice.
And that's literally all we've done with them.
Is it true that one of you starts your bike with a chopstick?
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. So my bike got stolen in London.
That was in first lockdown, wasn't it?
I was very, very sad. But through the power of the internet, it managed to get returned to me. So very, very happy.
That's amazing.
But they had drilled out the ignition barrel. So because I ride mine like all the time and use it for commuting, we just switched the ignition barrels on mine and Paul's.
Okay.
So for a while, Paul was starting his with a chopstick because it was just the right size to fit.
That's amazing.
What's your favourite part or function of the Terrain 125?
I wouldn't say it's a part for me, but just the fact that it could do anything. Like, I don't think we've ever got somewhere where we had to turn around because the bike couldn't do the terrain.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely don't think have we?
Wait, I'm thinking.
No, I don't think we have.
No.
Like, the bike, as long as you don't, try and go at 50 miles an hour on ridiculous rocks and stuff, I'm pretty sure you can do anything. And I'm not that good a rider. Well, I'm probably better than I used to be. But
I can imagine you're pretty good now.
In the hands of, like, a Dakar rider, they could make that bike do some very cool things.
Yeah. I also had a little rumour, did you guys not change a filter or oil on the entire trip?
We changed the oil once. So when we got them from you guys, we then didn't change the oil until we was in
Dushanbe.
Tajikistan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'd gone 8,000 miles without changing the oil.
Oh, wow.
And then my one, we picked up some oil previously, which was decent quality in Europe, which went into Holly's one. And my one, the only oil available was a cheap, thin Chinese oil. And then we didn't change it again until we got back to London.
Going back to, well, this can go for anything really, this country or sort of Mongolia. What does it feel like to ride in the countryside and off-road for you guys?
Awesome. It's just like freedom.
Yeah, there's something special about taking your bike off-road. I mean, I've done other trips across Europe and Asia and all the rest of it on tarmac roads, and it's nice, but there's something particularly special about heading off-road onto trails or literally almost into the unknown. You do generally feel like you're a lot more free, you feel more intrepid, like you are going on an adventure. Like I've got the Indiana Jones theme music going in my head as I'm riding along across like the plains in Mongolia and there's like nothing around. You feel detached from society, but you like it. You genuinely feel like at peace.
Oh yeah, so you've had the prototype T380s for a while now. How have you been getting on with those? And you've been going off-road, I've seen, on Instagram and stuff and your YouTube videos for a while. How have you been finding the 380s?
Well, Holly hasn't really had much time on them, for obvious reasons.
Thanks.
She hasn't, but you have had a little play, haven't you?
I've had
Off-road.
a ride on the private off-road bit because, I can do that. And I didn't fall off and I liked it. I think standing up was particularly comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Probably better than a 125 just because of like the position of the tank and the handlebars. But I'm not really the person to ask because,
So the models that you've got are slightly different to the models that you can purchase now.
Yes, we do currently have one of the ones you can purchase now as well.
Oh, have you got the white one as well?
The grey production one as well.
Oh, you got the grey one. Oh, nice. Yeah, so I guess, how have you been finding the ride on road and off road? I guess you've had it for quite a while now. Yes,
it's been, when we first got the prototypes, I think we've actually spent more time off road on the 380s than we have on road, just for fun, because that's what we do other than going down. It's a very capable machine. The first time I tried it was at the Overland show with the Model X, and it just showed that it was very comfortable off road, and it doesn't throw out the steering or anything like that if you've got weight on the back. But off-road is a capable machine. Recommendation is change the tyres. The stock ones are okay, but you will find yourself slipping in mud a lot. Yeah. It is a heavy machine, but we all knew it was going to be a heavy machine anyway. And it's been nice to see the improvements between the two prototypes up until the production as well. So we've been able to sort of like see that in its evolution steps and where it's gone. But it's a solid machine, and I've now dropped the 380s. I've lost count how many times I've dropped.
Well, that's the thing with the terrains, they're made to be dropped.
Oh, literally.
It's indestructible,
Yeah, they are. Literally, I have bashed and battered both of them around, and they are still going, really. And that's one of the wonderful things about it. But they are very capable machines. For a larger bike, if you compare it to taking a GS off-road, it's, very akin to that. And the suspension's set up really well for it. It can take a pounding. It's just, and it just keeps going. You just float between the first 3 gears and you're absolutely fine.
Have you got any advice to people transitioning from, say, they're going to do their Mod 1 and Mod 2, and they've got a Sinnis, they've got a Sinnis terrain, and they're looking to upgrade to the 380? Have you got any advice to give people transitioning from a smaller bike to a bigger bike? Yeah,
take your time with it. If you do go off-road, don't just dash off-road. Definitely spend some time on the road getting used to it as well. It's going to be a very different feel to the 125. It is a lot heavier. I think you've got about 30, 40 probably about 40 kilos difference in weight, but it's manageable weight. Don't be too concerned about getting your feet flat on the floor. As long as you've got one solid foot, it'll be absolutely fine. And just trust the bike when you're steering as well. It will just go exactly where you want it to. And the new ABS system works really well on the road, which is nice. You've got twice the disc power at the front brake as well. And obviously you've got a really nice dash. And the screen's really good as well, actually. I really like the screen on that because it really does redirect the air in a really positive way. So if you're going to do more highway miles, it is really nice and comfortable to ride on the highway.
Well, my last question really is kind of anyone looking to do long adventures, or anyone kind of stuck in a rut and is looking, like me, for example. I'd love to do a biking adventure, but I just haven't done it. Have you got any advice or words of wisdom for people who are looking to do that?
I think just realise that the people that do it aren't different to you. They're not good at things. You don't have to be good at what you do. You don't have to go quickly. Like, I'm not lying. There was parts of Mongolia where I think I did like 20 miles in a day and I was basically waddling the bike the whole way. But I made it. You don't have to be the best rider in the world. Just take your time, do things at your own pace, and you will get there. And as for setting off, it's like thinking about riding to Mongolia might seem a wee bit scary. But really, it's just like riding to the shops and back, but many, many times and in a straight line. So just think of it like that. It's just, today I'm going to ride to Dover. And then you get off the boat, you're like, all right, I'm going to ride to Germany today. One bit at a time, and you'll get there.
Yeah.
Also, just booking things without telling people really helps.
Just doing it. Just do it, and you can't go back on it, I guess.
Yeah, if you commit to something, even if it's just a ferry ticket, it's like, I pay for that now, I really should do something about it. Yeah. And the great thing is the internet is a wealth of knowledge. It's not there to intimidate you into thinking that it's like, oh, they've done this amazing round the world adventure, I can't do anything like that. Well, one, you probably could, but second, you don't have to. You're not trying to replicate what everyone else is doing. You need to do what you want to do. If your version of an adventure is going up to Scotland for a few days and just, hitting the North Coast 500 or whatever and then coming back downs, guess what? That's what works for you. Everyone is different. I mean, you don't have to go off-road unless you really want to. You don't have to go anywhere. It doesn't demean what you're doing just because someone else has done something that's considered to be, bigger and better. The good thing about the motorcycle community, especially the adventure one, is no one sort of frowns upon everyone else's achievements just because they've done something that may be perceived as larger. Everyone's just excited to hear that you've done something, you've tried, and you've got a story to tell, and potentially taken some really nice photos along the way.
My first adventure, I think I did 9 days after I got my CBT, and I rode my little 125 with a CBT on A roads from London to Cornwall. I went surfing, I camped, and then I came back. Like, that was a 600-700 mile round trip.
Yeah.
Which I did in 2 days, 9 days after getting a bike, and that for me was huge. Now I probably wouldn't even think about it, but back then that was terrifying.
Yeah.
I think I had to stop about 15 times on the way there because I was still in that learning stage where your mind gets exhausted from just riding. Yeah,
you have to constantly think about what you're doing, don't you, for that first.
So that's an adventure too.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great piece of advice for anyone that's looking to just get out and ride a bit more adventurously, really. Yeah. Cool. That's kind of all my questions I've got for you guys. Thanks for sticking around and finding the time to have a chat with me today. It's been a pleasure talking to you and hearing your stories about Mongolia and general off-road riding. It's nice to hear.
Cool. It's always a pleasure, Tom.
Cool. So thanks guys for watching the Sinnis Rider story. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the Sinnis Motorcycle channel, and I'll see you soon. Cool.